Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my no-nonsense, quick-fire review, the Xero Prio. Link for the best deals down below, US, UK, let's get cracking. Okay, weight. So first thing to address, these clock in for an average size about 215 grams. I've removed the insole, which probably saves about 1 gram. So relatively light, not the lightest minimalist running shoe you're going to get, but again, you're not going to notice that you've got these on your feet, particularly after a few miles, but I'd say they're about double the weight of a Vibram Fivefinger or a Merrell Vapor Glove, to put that into perspective for you guys. So weight wise, they're on the heavier side of your minimalist barefoot style running shoe. However, as far as running shoes go, incredibly light shoe. Durability. I've heard mixed reports on these. I've done about 100 miles in these, just over 100 miles, and they're showing very little sign of wear. So durability wise, I would say probably for me, better than a Vibram Fivefinger. Probably on par with a Merrell Vapor Glove, I would say. Durability wise for me, absolutely fine. Pretty decent for a minimalist shoe, which basically generally uses as few components, few materials as possible. Durability on these is just fine. It's pretty good. Let's talk about the sole. Relatively flexible, I mean incredibly flexible for your average running shoe. As far as minimalist running shoes go, I expect slightly more from the flexibility of the sole. It's not bad by any means, but if you compare it against the Vibram Fivefinger or a Merrell Vapor Glove that you're just going to be able to roll up no problem into a really tight ball, these ones a little bit stiff, even after 100 miles. Not the ideal running sole personally for me, but again for many people, and we'll talk about what it feels like to run in these shoes a little bit later, but for me I'd prefer a little bit of flexibility, a little bit more flexibility than this shoe provides. However, most people that I know that run in these absolutely rate the soles and rate the flexibility. They tend to bow and bend in specific areas rather than just everywhere. That is designed to, again, simulate within the shoe itself the barefoot experience, rather than your foot landing on the floor and the floor sort of simulating the experience. It's trying to simulate a barefoot running experience within the shoe itself, if that makes sense. Upper wise, the upper's just fine. I've removed the insoles, but upper, it's given me some rubbing, if I'm honest, and again that's going to be personal to me. I know most people that run in these don't experience that, but for me, I can't really rate the sole that highly because I get some rubbing, and I get some rubbing where the stitching, where it comes together just here. So just on the outside, where the stitching meets. This is one of the things really that's prevented me from enjoying running these, and really I've just run in them purely for a review perspective, because I get running and blistering on my toes where the seams meet here. So for me, upper wise needs some work. It needs to be far more comfortable, and that's wearing socks as well. So I know it's probably just because my toe clashes with this seam. However, for me, I can't really rate it massively highly in terms of the construction of the upper, just because I can't run barefoot in them. I can't even run in socks with them comfortably without getting, if I'm wearing a white pair of socks, there'll be blood on the sock when I'm done because of the seam. Again, personal for me, so if that's something you don't experience wearing them or may not experience wearing in them, brilliant. But for me, I have to be honest, I get some rubbing where the seam is. Okay, comfort wise, we've already touched that I get some rubbing on the inner seam. I'd really like them to address that in another model if I'm going to be pumping out hundreds and hundreds of miles in these. In terms of comfort and sort of being able to feel and respond to what's going on underneath your feet, I feel personally I would again prefer a Vibram Fivefinger, a Merrell Vapor Glove, something that gives me that perception of what's going on underfoot. I do run in shoes that don't do that, such as the Newton MV Squared and the MV Cubed. I treat those as race shoes, so shoes that I like to run fast in. So if I'm going to give up that ground perception, that ground feel, I want to be translating that into speed, because for me, giving up that ground feel can result in a little bit more shock coming up through the system. Not necessarily in these, but I'd like to have that ground feel. If I'm surrendering that, then it needs to be for out and out speed, for PBs and things like that. This doesn't feel like a faster shoe than the Vibram Fivefingers or the Vapor Glove. It's certainly nowhere near as fast as the MV Squared or the MV Cubed, which is an incredibly fast shoe, but doesn't give me that ground perception. But it's still minimal, still zero drop, and probably about half as heavy as this. What these do in a very strange way is they don't give you a barefoot sensation of running on barefoot on the surface that you're on. They give you a simulated barefoot running experience within the shoe itself in a really strange way, and this is preference. So a lot of people will prefer this. People really rate this shoe, and I can see why, and I'll explain what I mean. If you run in a Vibram Fivefinger, you feel every nook, every cranny, every lump, every bump, everything that's going on around you, and your foot is sort of moving and moulding to all of those nooks and crannies and bumps and lumps and everything else. These, the sole is a lot thicker. The sole is very thick for a minimalist shoe, even without the insole. You don't really feel what's going on underneath. Running in these has a nice wide toe box, so your toes are able to splay out. It feels like running barefoot on grass, or it feels like, as I said in my first impressions video, feels like running barefoot on a running track. So it does feel like you're running barefoot, and they've done a really good job of building this shoe to sort of mimic the way a foot behaves when running. So it's nice and tight on the heel, grips the heel nice and tightly, even though these are size and a half up, which definitely is so important. I'm a UK size 12, these are UK size 13, they fit really snugly, snug around the heel, nice and wide in the toe box. My toes can splay out and rub, but they can splay out as if running barefoot, and it's as if running, always it feels as if you're running barefoot on a track or on grass. So it's sort of like a slightly padded, dulled barefoot running experience. That's not a negative, that's a preference, all right? So my preference would be, I'd like to feel everything going on underneath me. But if you would prefer to feel as if you're running barefoot on grass or on a track all the time, then this is the shoe for you. And sometimes my running routes can become uncomfortable if I'm running along the seafront, along pebbles, and I'm running in a pair of Evos or KSO Evos or V-runs. It can become uncomfortable if there's like a sharp stone sticking out, something like that. The ground's too uneven, I'll have to maybe rethink my route. These, generally it just feels like you're running on the track barefoot all the time. Preference. Okay, so it brings us nicely onto terrain and grip. Not particularly any lugs, which again gives you a nice smooth ride. Pretty grippy shoe. So they're going to behave well in the wet, they're going to behave well on grass, behave well on paved hard surfaces, and on mild trails they'll perform well as well. All right? Again, because the sole is relatively thick for a minimal shoe, you're going to be able to run comfortably on all surfaces. Now these are not a technical trail shoe, don't get me wrong, but if you're going light trails, these will be absolutely fine. If you're going for a mixed terrain run, then this is absolutely brilliant, functional, perfect, does the job. I would find it hard to really think of a shoe that I could compare it to in that respect. So a very good shoe from a terrain perspective, a good all-rounder. Let's talk about value then. I've stuck a link down below for the best deals that I've found on the internet. Value-wise, you're probably looking at about $80, 80 quid, 80 to 90 quid, $80 to $90 for a pair of these beasts. Value-wise, I think you're either going to really love these shoes or be slightly underwhelmed by these shoes. That feels like the general consensus behind the Xero Prio. I think it's a good shoe. The only thing that holds me back is this seam and the fact that for me, it rubs my toe, my little toe, which holds me back. I personally can't recommend it because I wouldn't run loads of miles in this because of that example. Many people do not have that problem. I know that. I know there's an outpouring of love for this shoe. I think it's a really good shoe. So well thought about. you know, enhances the barefoot running experience in a way. The pros and cons we've been through. I think it's a great shoe. I just think it's a matter of preference. For me, I'm on the fence. I would reach for the Vibram Fivefingers before I reach for this, 10 times out of 10. But for other people, I know if you want something that looks more conventional, or if you want that sort of barefoot running on grass or a track experience, then this is the shoe for you, for sure. Not as minimal as the Vibram Fivefinger, but perfectly functional, perfectly comfortable, deals well on all terrains. Totally up to you. Guys, if you've got any questions, or if you feel like I haven't covered anything, my first impressions of this video, which I'll have a link for as well, that has some footage of me running in these babies as well. Like I said, I've been holding off making this review. Just show you the insole there if you want to see it. Pretty standard stuff. Been holding off making this review because, like I said, I've been on the fence. I don't really have any strong views one way or the other. There's other shoes out there I'd prefer to run in, but I know the people that do run in them absolutely swear by them. So, you know, you can feel free to make your own opinion based on that. Check out the first impressions video of this as well. Check out the links of the deals down below. And what I'll do, I'll make some direct comparison videos between this and some of the other minimalist running shoes that I run in, just so that you can see them side by side and see how they perform. But for now, guys, as always, please do like, share and subscribe on this video. It massively helps me out, helps me with the Google algorithm, which is just so unpredictable. You never know which video is going to do well and which one isn't. Please comment, let me know what other videos you want to see. I'll add it to the list, and I'll, you know, fast track, and I'll call out the people that come up with those ideas as well. But for now, you guys know what to do by now. Keep it rolling.